This is Comics Beer and Sci-Fi coming at you from our Able Idea Studios in downtown Birmingham. Podcast number 10.
Yeah.
This is the Q filling in for Brad, who's out on binge eating somewhere. With me today is Mark.
Asshole as usual.
And Denver.
Hello, hello.
No Nick, no Rich, just us three.
The important ones are here. That's all that matters.
Core group.
The core group. The core group. No offense to Brad. All right, Denver, what we got today?
Okay, let's wrap up a little bit of last week's podcast when we talked about the witches. We actually put out a Twitter poll, and Margaret Hamilton was the winner of our Twitter poll. That's Wicked Witch.
Pretty.
Exactly.
And she also
dog
played
too.
a witch. Also, I just realized this week, she also played a witch in one of the Abbott and Costello movies, Coming Around the Mountain, where Abbott and Costello have to get a love potion from a witch down in the south, and she has this love potion. They go to her, and when they refuse to pay her the money for the love potion, she creates this little voodoo doll out of clay.
I remember that.
Of Costello and starts poking it with
I never
a pen.
realized that was her. I
That
totally
was her.
remember that.
And then he goes, and when she walks out of the room to get something, he goes and makes one
messes
of her.
with her. Yeah.
And they start poking each other. And it's hilarious.
Oh, that is a
funny
good
bit.
one.
Guess they were poking each other for a while there, huh?
I'll get you, my pretty.
I'll poke you, my pretty. She got kind of
Cock out of me.
she got typecast as a witch there. I see.
Yep.
Okay, so we also ranked our favorite witches. Twitter, you can only trust those people so far. You got to go to the expert opinion, right?
Exactly, that's us.
So we it kind of worked out that all of the witches fell into three different categories. So I kind of broke them down by category. So I did our top animated witches,
Okay,
and there was the Evil Queen from Snow White,
of course.
Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, and a little surprise, in my opinion, result was Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Came in at number 3.
That's just okay. No comment.
Well, who did you want?
No, that's fine. Animated witches.
My pick was Hazel from Bugs Bunny.
Oh yeah,
That was my pick, but I'm not upset at that. But I just it's
And then we have our
no, that's fine.
our top 3 TV witches. We have Samantha from Bewitched, of course. She was actually, I think, number 2 vote getter overall, behind Margaret Hamilton.
Okay.
Willow from Buffy the Vampire was number 2.
Who played that character?
Alyssa Hannigan.
Oh,
Allison Hannigan.
Allison
the one from How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, correct.
And
American Pie.
The one that likes to stick the flute up her twat.
Yes.
Yes.
The band
One
camp girl.
time at band camp.
Now that's some real magic. And then the
Play that funky music.
Oh, that's funky, all right. We got third on the list of TV witches, and this was kind of a cheat because we did the Hollowell sisters from Charmed, because we had a couple of different of the individual sisters nominated. So yeah, I kind of merged them as one.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's favorite. Okay, it's favorite, so that's fine. I think, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, this isn't best witches.
I'm about to say most powerful.
Yeah, not the most powerful, not the sexiest, just our overall favorite.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then our movie list, number 1 was The Wicked Witch, just like Twitter.
Of course.
And she was the overall pick of all of the
she
witches.
established how witches should be played.
Yep, she sure did. And then number 2, Hermione from Harry Potter. And then the third was kind of another cheat because we had several of the different witches from The Craft. Were voted, so we merged them together, and I kind of called them the Mannins witches, since I believe I
would like to merge into them.
Comics, porn, and sci-fi.
Yeah, we really need a lady on this show to kind of keep you guys out of the gutter here.
I don't know.
I don't think she's really gonna help.
If there was a girl here, my mind would be.
That would make it
else.
worse.
I'd be in her gutter.
Oh God.
You wish. All right. We got a lot of news this week, so let's jump right into that. I think there's a little movie coming out that Q might have some interest in. What's that called again?
Batman v Superman.
That's it. Thank you.
Actually, before that, Cloverfield. So I'm gonna lose a lot of money this month.
Yeah, Cloverfield. That's coming up.
Don't you know how to sneak into a movie theater yet?
You buy a ticket for one movie, and then
I know how to do that. Stop encouraging little kids to sneak into movie theaters.
No, we're not encouraging, and we're just
little
telling.
kids listen to this podcast.
Yes.
Horrible parents.
Terrible parenting.
They should be shot.
Fuck.
The same kids. Look, same kids that went to go see Deadpool. Come on now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I heard about that. That is just wrong. Just wrong. Okay, we have on the heels of the success of Deadpool, which is looking like it's going to be the #1 movie for a third week in a row, we have news of a Batman vs. Superman home video release that will be R-rated.
Director's cut.
Yes, exactly. So my initial reaction was an R-rated Batman, I could see. That makes sense. But an R-rated Superman?
Well, you got to remember, Batman's in it, so it just means Superman's going to bleed even more.
I guess.
Or
Yeah.
show some nudity of them stuffing, Lois Lane and Catwoman. And
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
No. I think it's just going to be more explicit violence.
More
like Q
blood.
said. Yeah, exactly. A little bit
Superman
more
will
gore.
bleed a lot more.
and Superman will say, fuck.
Oh, he'd probably say that. Yeah, fuck.
No, Batman, I could see saying that. Superman, he's too...
Well, he might.
He's
You
too
know
much
what's
of a
going to
Boy
happen?
Scout.
Superman's going to punch Batman, and then Batman's going to say, "You just fucked up," and then commits the
There you
bleeding.
go.
Or they're going to say, fuck you, Luthor.
Oh, that might happen too. It's going to be a lot of F-bombs.
Yeah, I severely doubt there are going to be any F-bombs, no nudity. I think it's just going to be more violence.
It's going to
really
be,
what it's gonna be.
probably more language, more violence.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I could see, it'd be great to see Superman, take a human and squash his skull.
I don't know about a human, but maybe
Then
like a
he
villain.
wouldn't be the
Supposed to
perfect
kill.
little Boy Scout.
Well, maybe not just Superman. Maybe it'd be like Bizarro would kill somebody. Or
Well, I could see Apocalypse. Is it Apocalypse? Who's the villain?
Darkseid?
Doomsday?
Doomsday.
Well, Darkseid might be in it too. So, and the rest.
Well,
of his gang,
they actually, they are speculating because
Granny
in
Goodness
Batman's.
and the rest of
All right,
his-
well, we're
his
going to
son
save our
Calibos.
speculation for a later podcast. We're going to do a whole episode dedicated to Batman vs. Superman.
I'm going to make sure I'm here for that one. You guys want to tune in for
We
that
won't
one.
tell you where it's going to be, Q, so
That's
you
fucked
have
up.
For
to
all you
find
Q
us.
haters out there, tune in for that one.
That's fucked up.
All right, so another
That's a lot of them, too.
BVS news. There's been a report or rumor circulating that Ben Affleck, during the shooting of Batman vs. Superman, was not happy with the script. And so while in costume, waiting for cameras to roll,
heard that.
he was rewriting the script. To me, this kind of sounds like damage control, because there's been a lot of scuttlebutt that this movie hasn't been tracking well with test audiences. And so it's kind of like, okay, here's Ben Affleck, this Academy Award-winning writer that's also playing Batman, and he's swooping in to save the day and rewriting the script and trying to make it better. I don't know, Mark. What do you think?
Well, I think it's always, having people's different point of view sometimes helps. I mean, somebody, the script could have been what it was, and then, he could have came in and said, I have a better line for this. I'm a pretty witty kind of guy,
He's a great writer and director. I mean, look at his last 3 movies. Were all great movies.
Yeah,
that he
and so, I
directed.
mean, they could have tried different takes on different lines and stuff like that. That's all it could have been. I mean, a script sometimes is just a blueprint, an outline, and sometimes they have to fill in the gaps to, especially when it comes to dialogue, because not everyone is a Quentin Tarantino type writer who can come up with the real snappy lines and dialogue,
Yep.
and characterizations. And I think Affleck just only helps in that matter.
It's still going to be the greatest movie of all time. That's my opinion.
I hope it's great. I hope it's really good.
Yeah, and you have to realize when we're kind of making fun of Batman vs. Superman, it's not
used quotations.
It's not because we want it to be bad. We all want it to be great.
I want it to be awesome. I
They just want it to be bad because
I
want to
hear you. I want to hear that you like came in your pants watching it. You know, that's what I want to.
As soon as the title comes across the street,
He would do that if it was good or not.
If it would
Why are we talking about? I'm
I
so
don't know. I don't
uncomfortable
know.
right now.
We need Brad here to yell at him.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about excitement.
Well, you can just say it's better than sex. You don't have to get so graphic and detailed
So
about
graphic.
it.
Hey, I'm a graphic kind of guy. I'm crass, so just live with it.
Okay. Well,
All right, back to more Batman
Yes.
vs Superman news.
Justice League, it was announced, will start shooting in April.
Yes.
And director Zack Snyder released a photo of himself.
Seen it.
And there's some interesting things
Costumes in the background.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did that on purpose.
A lot of times they do that.
Well, but here's the question. Did you guys notice there was a picture on the ground in the background of Aquaman's wife? And so there has been no talk of her being in the movie, but that image is leading a lot of people to think that she will be appearing in
I'm
the
hearing like
Justice
Amber
League.
Heard might be up for the role of.
She would be great, yeah.
You can't have Aquaman and not have his wife. His wife is an essential part of him. So
Oh, probably is.
she's the one that keeps.
But I heard
him.
they also looked like there was a Robin or a Nightwing.
Nightwing, yeah, they were saying you
costume in
paint-
the background.
Yep.
I think I was watching Collider when the picture came out, and they were saying
Well,
if you
you know-
paint it blue, it looks
when
like
I read that-
Nightwing.
when I
If you
read
paint
that-
it red, it looks like Batman Beyond.
Well, when I read that script last year of the supposed Batman versus Superman that leaked online, Nightwing was in the movie in a flashback.
Well, I think they're gonna flashback with that whole joke, the
Robin
suit.
suit. Yeah, with the Joker's spray
They
paint.
might
Yeah.
flash back to.
Isn't there a rumor that possibly
Red
the
Hood.
Joker could have been Robin? The Jared Leto playing the Joker could have
Nah,
been
I heard-
Robin. In
I haven't heard that, but
I
that would
haven't
be
heard that.
interesting.
That'd be a hell of a twist. But I heard that they were gonna flash back to him killing Jason Todd
Okay, let's save the
from
speculation for
BVS podcast.
Yep. So, but there is other DC news.
Another plug.
We've got an all-female line of DC action figures
Heard
that are
about
going to be
that.
coming to Target in March. So I think that'll be really interesting.
Where's Zoe when you need her? Girl
Yeah,
power.
exactly. But what I thought was interesting was the figures themselves were not, overly sexualized like a
Oh, yeah,
lot
that's a
of
good
the
thing.
typical action figures with, really big boobs and, tight buns and, looking overly sexualized.
Fishnet stockings.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be really good for a lot of girls, especially I have a 10-year-old daughter. I know she's going to love them. And then our last bit of DC news, Gotham returns tomorrow night.
Yes.
And Mr. Freeze, right? Is that the
Victor Freeze. Yes,
they've
it's
been
coming.
promoting him in all of
Doesn't
the
sound
promos.
like he's got an accent.
Oh, I
Chill,
haven't
The
heard-
everybody.
Iceman cometh. Adam and Evil. I mean, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. The casting was terrible, but that made for some great lines, man. It was.
Oh, you're talking about Arnold?
Heck yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
care. The casting was
That
terrible.
movie was eye candy for kids.
Well, here's the wacky thing. Wasn't Schwarzenegger top billed in the
Yes,
movie?
yes.
When is the villain ever the
Jack
top?
Nicholson.
Jack
Jack
Nicholson
Nicholson
got
was top billing.
He got top billing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a precedent.
That was a
then.
time when they wanted to get the biggest star to play the villain.
Yep, and at the time, Arnold was the biggest
Because
action star.
Superman. The top billing was Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Of course, Reeve
Because
was nobody.
they figured the villain was the over the top guy who's gonna have the best lines. He's got the best actor out there to get him, and then the superhero can be just some kind of
Yeah, an unknown.
or an ordinary actor, an actor
Yeah.
of the meager
Well, the
talent.
villain has to carry the movie. You're going to see more of the villain at the time than the.
That's what a lot of
Hero.
people are paying for to see this.
Yeah, you see the villain.
Well, the villains are
always-
fun because you love to hate them.
Yeah,
they're more
but
entertaining usually.
the
Because I
villain-
remember after the first Batman came out in '89, that summer, the speculation was who's going to be in the next one. They were already talking about the sequel. They were talking about Danny DeVito from the get go playing the Penguin. They were talking about Cher to play Catwoman, Robin Williams to play the Riddler.
I remember the Robin Williams rumor.
remember
That
Robin
would have been
Williams.
interesting.
Yeah.
He wanted to play the Riddler
Well, actually, I guess he was originally supposed to play the Joker or something like that, but I don't know, that was just an idea or something. But then
I'm glad they gave it to Jack.
that was brilliant.
Nicholson was awesome.
Brilliant
Yeah,
casting
Nicholson was
right there.
great.
I had my issues with that Burton movie, but Nicholson wasn't one
I
of
think
them. That's for
visually
sure.
it was great. I think I really
Yes.
liked the visuals of it. It just story wise, it was kind of, but
Okay, so we got a bunch of Marvel news now. We're gonna plow through this. Nothing
Can I add
earth shattering.
One more news, just in case
DC
nobody-
related.
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Just in case nobody's seen it, The Flash this week, Zoom has been revealed as Hunter Zolomon, aka Jay Garrick.
Okay, you're supposed to do spoiler alert.
Okay, well,
beforehand.
if you ain't seen it by now,
I haven't seen it. I'm behind.
oh, spoiler alert,
Ay,
my
ay,
bad.
ay. I kind of actually read that was
Yeah.
probably the case, but
Well, I heard it was his
who is
dad.
the guy in the cage?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I thought it was probably another version of Jay Garrick. Like that's what
Now, I did hear or read that maybe Hunter Zolomon was born twins at birth and got separated. So one is Jay Garrick and one is Hunter
ruling
Zolomon.
out the fact that there could be? What about an Earth 3?
Well, we're not ruling that
and
out.
4 and 5. And
Yeah. So.
But how did Zoom?
What if they brought in multiple characters
Well,
into one Earth?
I think that's
most
too much for
parallel
right now.
most parallel universe theories are that it's an infinite,
Right.
parallels, not just one or.
Yeah, but I think
So
that's a little bit too much for this
We're
season.
not thinking outside the box that there could be more Jerry Garricks running around or Barry
Well, it
Allens.
depends how many years the show gets renewed for. They'll
Well,
keep
yeah,
adding
then we'll add Earth
universes.
after Earth after Earth. But I
Because
think
every villain could be Barry Allen, but from a different Earth.
a different Barry Allen. This one is Harry Allen.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to point
Jerry
that
and
out.
Gary.
Yeah. And then Arrow. If you watch Legends, did you watch Legends of Tomorrow
No,
this
I'm
week?
totally behind on all the.
Okay,
the-
well, I'm spoiling this
CW
one too.
shows, all right.
Spoiler alert! If you didn't see it, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Green Arrow came out with his beard and his missing arm from The Dark Knight Returns.
So this was the future
Green Arrow in 2046.
made an appearance on.
Yes, Legends of Tomorrow.
I haven't watched Legends
okay.
of Tomorrow because I forgot to DVR the first episode and I can't find it on demand.
Oh, you just missed. They had them all on the CW website. They just took them off like 2 days
I don't
ago.
go to the website. Damn it.
So that, and then the Flash, it's called Flash. Arrow was really good. They finally stopped Damien Dark, but of course, spoiler alert again. Malcolm Merlin is gonna have some way to get him out of jail or whatever. But it was Vixen made an appearance,
Okay.
her first live action appearance. The same girl that played her voice on the cartoon.
All right, now listen, I'm a few episodes behind on Supergirl, so do not spoil that one for me, okay? I'm only to Bizarro Supergirl, so I'm like 3 behind.
Okay, spoiler alert. No.
Did they have
Supergirl is
Supergirl episode yet?
Well, actually, Supergirl is really picking up. I mean, it's still like you guys said, it's more towards children, but it's really getting there.
I do
It's getting
enjoy
there.
the show. It's not great, but it's very good. It's very entertaining. Supergirl is awesome on the show, so I watch it for her primarily.
Yeah, it's that doesn't sound like right at all. But
And that's all right. My son his mind is totally blown when I told him that Supergirl's boss is Han Solo's wife. He totally was like, "What the hell? What are you talking about?"
Wait a minute. It's you're saying Carrie Fisher's on the show?
No. His real life
his
wife
real life wife.
Oh,
from Ally McBeal,
Oh, okay.
Callista Flockhart.
Oh, okay, because I don't watch the show.
She still look anorexic. It's like she didn't eat
no,
since
she
Ally
has not.
McBeal.
Ally McBeal, she looked fine, and then after that, she kind of.
I don't know. I thought she looked pretty bony on Ally McBeal
Hell
too.
Maybe
Yeah.
they covered her up enough because I didn't think she looked that thin on that show.
I think
Well,
Harrison
maybe it was all the singing in the
It
bathroom.
was after the show, I think, when I noticed she was like
she
getting
got really
really
bad. Well, I think Harrison Ford weighs her every morning. Keeps
Probably.
keeps her on a tight leash. I don't know.
Really? That's a
Okay.
really small
Unless he
leash.
likes skeleton sex.
Okay, here we go. Marvel. Let's get back to Marvel.
All right, let's go to this lesser being. I mean,
Okay,
Marvel.
we've got Iron Fist has been cast for
Yes.
the Netflix show. His name is Finn Jones, and he has appeared on Game of Thrones. There was some, I guess you could say, some disgruntled internet followers, but I think most of the people on the internet are disgruntled. They were
Tell me about it.
They were kind of jockeying for an Asian Iron Fist, which I thought would have been interesting, even though that's not the character in the books. It would have, kind of diversified things a little bit. And isn't Iron Fist isn't his martial arts of Asian
that's true.
origins?
Yes, that is true.
So I mean, it would make sense,
So they're gonna have Luke Cage with him on this show, or
I'm sure, like all the other Netflix
they're in the
shows,
because there was a comic book line of Iron Fist empowerment.
Oh yeah, that's how.
they were heroes for hire.
That's how I first, became familiar with the character was
Heroes
with
for
their
Hire.
book, their team up book. So, no word yet on when that's gonna hit Netflix, but everyone's waiting for Daredevil season 2, and we've got they released the first trailer with Elektra.
Mm-hmm.
This
Looking
one was.
good.
Yeah,
And it wasn't Jennifer Garner, thank God.
When I like the fact that they had her more plain clothes, she still looked kind of, ninja-esque, but
Right.
it wasn't, some kind of overly sexualized,
Well, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed the movie, so I don't know.
Well, I didn't think the movie was bad. I just didn't think it was great.
No.
You're from a younger generation.
I said kind of enjoy.
You guys were just.
I
fed
said
crap,
kind of enjoy.
And that's all you think.
Which
that is
means
available.
I didn't say it was great. I said kind of fucking enjoyed.
Okay,
Well, because
Brad.
I channeled my inner Brad on that one.
because I think Elektra was created by Frank Miller, correct?
Yes.
And he had a much more hard edge version of Daredevil. So I think this Elektra will be more in keeping with the Frank Miller version because the first season was nice and gritty and ultra violent. So, okay, we've got a little Infinity War info. The Russo brothers, who are directing, corrected an online report that there was going to be 67 Marvel superheroes in the movie. There's actually going to be 68.
Oh, okay.
So is that my question to you guys is that too many? I mean, obviously this is going to be spread out over
But it's
probably
gonna be what,
5 hours.
34 in
have?
one film, 34 in part 2. The 34 that's going to be in part 1 going to die.
Bringing in the TV characters? Is Daredevil going to show up?
Well, if there's got 68 characters, I'm assuming they've got to bring in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They got to bring in
there's
the
no
Defenders.
superheroes now. Those
But
are
you gotta,
superheroes, though.
but you gotta remember, they still haven't done Inhumans. That's at least
But that's
10,
gonna be
15, 20
phase,
people right
that's gonna be
there.
phase 4, I think.
no. That's coming out before
No,
Avengers, isn't it?
No,
Yes.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's coming out after Infinity Wars.
All right, we'll check the records
Yeah,
on that
I'm
one.
thinking that's coming out before, but then you still got the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's like 6 people right there.
Volume 2, yep.
Then
That's
you
5.
got
Unless in the next movie they add a few characters like Nova,
They are gonna. I heard reports that they are adding in
know.
new
Adam
member.
Warlock, maybe.
Nova might be in that. That's 6. Black Panther.
Well, of course. But I hope they at least have Matt Murdock.
They've got to have the
universe.
Defenders.
I mean,
They've
I
got
wish
to.
they don't necessarily have to bring him in as the Daredevil, but I want to see Matt Murdock show up in one of these movies, like just as an attorney or something.
Well, who
you know?
knows?
That would be
like
cool.
you said, they might.
I'd like to see them
thinking-
merge those to television. Some people don't want to, but I want to. I think it's
I'm
just only
thinking
good.
at the end of the day, Punisher's going to make an appearance. Deadpool, not Deadpool, but Spider-Man's going to be in there. You
Of
forget.
course.
And if they struck a deal with Spider-Man, they probably can strike a deal to get Carnage and Venom and all them other characters in
Those
there
aren't
too.
heroes, though.
They
Are they
don't
talking about?
have-
Well, these are characters.
No,
It was
characters.
68 Marvel
You gotta think about it.
characters.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Okay,
you gotta think
okay.
about
He
it.
was saying I thought you were.
Well,
talking about the
most
heroes.
people.
Okay,
I'm telling you, they're not going to be just here. I'm telling you, they're going to combine these villains and these heroes together to stop Thanos. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Well, you're gonna have what?
'Cause they don't
what
even-
villains,
you
what
can't
villains are
have-
you gonna have in there? You're gonna have Loki. You're gonna,
Well, no, you got to think about
Iron
this.
Man's Mandarin gonna show up? You think, or what about the leader?
The real
I want to
Mandarin?
see the leader. Hulk's villain.
They can't do.
I don't think they're
the
going to
leader.
introduce
What do you
new.
mean they can't do the?
They can't do Universal owns the rights to the Hulk.
Yeah, wait. They own the rights to the Hulk movie. But the Hulk character, Marvel's still using it.
They
Why do you think he's in the Avengers?
They can use I don't know how it's set up to where they can use the Hulk.
Well,
but I don't think they can use everybody else.
Yes, they could because he was in the Hulk movie with Edward Norton.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're not going to introduce a new villain in the Infinity Gauntlet. If he's not introduced by that point.
I want to see him in that Marvel universe. The leader is an important villain. They need to bring him in there.
He's a C-lister at best.
He's a great villain. A big green head.
Okay, well, speaking of villains, we got the first official photo of Crossbones from Civil War.
With the mask on.
Yes. What do you guys? What did you guys think of that?
Well, Frank Grillo's a cool actor. You know, he could have played the Punisher. You know,
he would have been a great Punisher.
I mean, he was like the Punisher in The Purge too. You know.
Yes.
So I can't wait to see how that character develops.
I'm actually more excited than I let on about Civil War. I want to see it. I'm still a little upset, but that's not. Well, there's nothing I can do about the fact that they can't do it the way that they do it.
You're a DC fanboy.
No, don't give me that bullshit.
You're a DC fanboy.
I can't get upset about the fact that they can't do it how they did it in the comic book. To me, the story in the comic book was still a much better story than the way they doing it in the movie.
1% of the movie-going audiences are.
If you say that shit one more time, I don't care. I don't care.
You don't care.
Okay.
I don't care.
You guys are just rehashing old news. We'll save the Civil War talk for that podcast that we're going to do.
Thanks for stopping, Q.
That's here's what we're going to do. We're going to change gears slightly. We're going to talk about Star Trek Horizon, which was supposed to have its premiere this week, but because of
crappy Michigan fucking weather.
Exactly. Thank you, Brad. That was very Brad-esque of you.
Thank you.
It got postponed.
Yes, but they did release the movie online as scheduled, and it's an hour, 42 minutes. Go on YouTube. It's a feature-length movie. It's entirely free. Just Google Star Trek Horizon full movie. It pops right up, and you can take a look at it. They did a great job with the costumes and the special effects. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I do recommend people check it out, especially if you're a diehard Star Trek fan. Okay, in other news, there was an interesting list put out of over the last 50 years, the top read books of all time. Of course, the Bible is number one. It's always number one on those lists. What I thought was interesting was the Harry Potter series came in at number 3.
Really?
Right behind, or right in front of Lord of the Rings series. That was number 4, obviously. And the other one, I almost hesitate to bring it up, but the Twilight series was number 7.
What was number 2?
The number 2 book was, I'm drawing a blank, but it was, The
Joy of Sex?
No, it was...
Sex for Dummies?
Yeah, I forget what it was, but it had no relevance to the show. But I just thought...
Harry Potter was 3.
Harry Potter.
Lord of the Rings was 4.
Yep.
And why was...
And good old Twilight.
Sparkly fucking gay-ass vampires.
At least 50 Shades of Grey didn't make the list.
50 Shades of Black might have been on there. Fucking...
This goes to show there's a lot of tweens out there.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I like to read.
Time?
All right, so we got a couple more quick things I wanted to go over in the news. The one personally that I am most excited about is Pacific Rim 2 was announced with Stephen S. DeKnight as the director. I first knew of him from the great Spartacus show on Starz.
Spartacus.
He was kind of the creator and showrunner of that, and I thought that was an awesome show. And
that probably was the greatest show.
He did the first season of Daredevil on Netflix, which was another great show. So, based on those two properties,
movies are totally different.
This Pacific Rim 2 could be pretty awesome. And Guillermo del Toro is still on board, obviously, as the creator and the producer. So,
well, what I heard was he was involved in this writer's room they came up with last year to do the reboot the Transformers series. And then eventually, I guess, Michael Bay came back and they just threw all that out. But apparently he had some ideas for the Transformers movies that I guess now he could be possibly incorporating into Pacific Rim, being giant
fighting robots. That'd be great.
So hopefully there's some good stuff there.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Transformers because that was the other item on the list. It was announced this week that Transformers 5, right, is coming back to Detroit to shoot. They shot, I think, all the other movies here except for one.
I don't think 2 was
Two
here.
was here.
No,
Two was
one.
not
Okay,
here.
so
Two wasn't here. It wasn't.
All the other ones were
two
here,
wasn't
but
here.
2.
So the first one,
The first one, the third one, and the fourth one.
Okay,
were all
okay.
here.
So
Because the fight scene when they were supposedly in Beijing, they were really downtown.
yes.
Oh yeah, we saw the set there.
You saw the people mover.
So we'll
if
try
you live
to-
in Detroit and don't know what the people mover look like on the movie screen,
Going by the section,
you're
it
a
looked
fucking
like
idiot.
It was Asian, you know.
Yeah, so yeah.
So needless to say, we will try to get you some set photos and behind the scenes pics and videos
We'll do our
and
best.
all that stuff. Okay, and
But
then
our best might not be good enough.
lastly, in the news, there was a what I would call it an interesting fan theory about Indiana Jones. Did you guys hear anything about this
Yes,
one?
about how he survived the nuclear blast inside the refrigerator.
I seen it, but I didn't read it. What
When he
was
drank
it?
the cup of Christ, he ended up having everlasting life. So that possibly could have protected him from the nuclear
Oh, well, that makes
radiation
sense.
from that blast.
That makes sense.
Now let's talk about chronology. When did the Last Crusades take place? Do you remember?
The
That was during World War II, correct?
No, it was
Right.
after. It was before World War II because it was like during like when the Nazis were rising up in the 30s.
Okay, so Hitler was in power, but
I'm
it was
trying to
before
think,
the
though,
war.
I think, was it before Raiders of the Lost Ark? But he did mention that when they were in that crypt, and the girl goes, "What is that? That drawing on the wall?" And he goes, "It's the Ark of the Covenant." He goes, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Pretty sure." So I'm trying to remember if that was kind of a joke because he actually dealt.
Right, he had seen it,
He's
yeah.
seen the Ark. He felt the Ark before, or if he just knew it from the book. I couldn't remember what the timeline
Well, what's the
was.
what's the chronology of the first three movies?
Well, the first Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was before Raiders of the Lost
Okay,
Ark.
right.
Okay, because that was like 34, and then Raiders was 36,
Okay.
and then I can't remember what the Last Crusade was, but it was around that time.
Well,
okay?
I'm just wondering.
It's in the 30s.
I'm just wondering how much, if this theory is correct.
It's in the 30s. It was in like sometime in the late 30s.
Yeah, but when he drank from the cup,
in the late 30s sometimes.
but did that help him in any of the other movies? Obviously, it didn't help him in Temple of Doom.
no.
So did it help him in Raiders? I guess that's the real question.
Well, he lived. I mean,
If this theory is to be believed,
so that means he can't be killed then.
well, because remember, because in the when the Ark of the Covenant was open, they closed their eyes, so that's what protected them. It wasn't.
Yes. But here was an interesting theory for me, though, or an idea, though, was, okay, if he had this special power and then he was, like, involved in World War II as a spy, could you imagine the stories they could have, having him be, like, invincible, fighting, against the Nazis in World War II?
I see a whole new line of fan fiction popping up.
Yeah.
He'd be like Captain America.
Yes.
Yes, but afraid of snakes.
He'd be Captain Jones.
Yes, but afraid of snakes.
No, I liked. What did you say, Dr. America?
Dr.
That's
America.
better.
Dr. America,
That's better.
yeah.
Okay, so we had a couple of new trailers. We talked about the Daredevil trailer with Elektra. We had a couple more television trailers. We had a new Bates Motel trailer, which looks full on psycho. I know you guys, Q, Mark, I know you guys don't watch the show. I've watched it from the beginning. The first season wasn't great. It actually felt more like Twin Peaks than Psycho, where it was, the Pacific Northwest and there was drug dealing and all these shady characters.
And murder.
Yeah, well,
It's always murder.
There's
always murder.
Exactly.
Whenever you think of murder in the Pacific Northwest, you think of Twin Peaks.
That is true. That is true.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
But in each subsequent season, it has become more and more like the original Psycho. And in fact, in the new trailer that they released this week, they started out black and white, and they have kind of the
Hitchcockian look
yeah,
to
the
it.
vintage
They're
feel
trying,
to the
they're
music.
trying.
Well, are they on a schedule of like how many? Like they plan on only going a certain amount of seasons?
Yes, they do. Like Lost, because this is one of the same producers from Lost,
Okay.
Carlton Cuse. He mapped out X amount of years. I don't recall off the top of my head how many seasons they
So the
want to
last
do.
season's going to lead up to the whole Janet Leigh character showing up to the place. Probably.
Yes, and so I'm wondering if they're going to incorporate elements from the movie Psycho, because that's where he gets caught. So that would kind of complete the story of Norman Bates, so to speak. Or if they're just going to kind of
Oh no, it'd be
cliffhanger
cool if the
it.
last season was pretty much like the whole movie of Psycho, but it lasted the whole season.
Yeah, right. An in-depth version of the movie.
Psycho.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
Where they're trying to they're in the whole she shows up, he kills her in the first 1 or 2 episodes.
Yep.
Then the whole investigation and finding her lasts the whole season.
which would technically make it the third remake of Psycho, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, A&E also released a trailer to Damien, which is gonna run right after Bates Motel, so it'll be a twofer. And this one is interesting because Bates Motel was really a remake and a sequel to the original Psycho, whereas Damien is going to be a direct sequel to the original Omen movie. In fact, in the trailer, they show clips from the movie.
It's almost a sequel reboot because if you remember in the Omen series, there was an actual second movie where he was a teenager, and then a third movie where he was an adult trying to run
With
for president.
Sam Neill, correct?
Sam Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Yeah, he was going to be running for president or something like
Yep,
that. I
yep.
just remember The Final Conflict was the name of the movie.
Yes.
So this
So you're
is
right, it is
it's
a sequel
reboot.
reboot, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it looks good. It's produced by Glenn Mazzara, who was one of the producers for The Walking Dead. I forget which season. Maybe it was season 2. He took over from Frank Darabont. Then he subsequently left. So he's got some good pedigree to it, so we'll check it out. The last trailer, this is for a movie, is the Peach Dragon reboot. Did you guys ever see the original Peach
Yes,
Dragon?
This looks like a totally different movie. I mean, from the trailer, the kid kind of looks like the kid from the Jungle Book.
Yeah, this
running around.
feral, kind of wild child.
Yeah. And then it just seems like it's much darker too.
Well, I loved the original Peach Dragon as a kid.
It's a musical, and
Yeah, and it was a lot of
But
fun.
it was.
and the actors in the movie were
This
kind of
look like
comedic.
the people running to the jungle and Peach Dragon is like about to burn the hell out of the whole
dragon looks
forest.
like the dragons from Game of Thrones.
It totally does. Yeah, they're definitely going with the more serious, intense, realistic version of Peach
Oh,
Dragon.
they also got Robert Redford.
yeah,
How do you do it?
and what's her name? What's the Howard?
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks totally different from the original, but it does look good. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean,
It's gonna be different.
especially Robert
really
Redford.
different. But Robert, yeah, you
He
can't
brings
go wrong.
class
with
to
Robert.
everything he's in. I mean, I give him a lot of credit for making the wise decision of being in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
He was great.
I would
Really
never
good.
expect someone like him to be in a movie like that, and then
especially as the villain, that was a good twist
Yeah.
because he's such a kind of heroic,
kind of person.
you
Well,
know,
he's
likable
Robert
guy.
Redford, dude.
Yeah.
You look at him and you just see like the American flag and fireworks standing
Exactly.
behind him.
I mean, he could have played Captain America if they would have, back in the
Right, if they did
60s
it,
and
yes.
70s.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so we've got, I guess you could call this news. There was, this week, they did the Razzie Awards, which are for the worst movies of the year. They coincided with the Academy Awards, which are tonight. Of particular note to our show, the Fantastic Four actually tied as the worst movie of the year, according to the Razzies. They tied with 50 Shades of Grey. I still haven't
50 Shades of Grey?
was tied with Fantastic Four for the worst movie of the year. I still haven't seen it. Would you guys consider it the worst movie of the year?
You're saying 50 Shades of Grey.
Fantastic Four.
You haven't seen it?
You haven't seen Fantastic Four?
Just like
I heard,
just like someone driving by like a car
I heard it
accident
was
or
so
something?
bad that I was like,
Have you ever seen?
Yeah, it was just
It was
poorly done.
See, it was poorly done. The script was the actors. Were great. They were great at acting out a terrible script. You can't blame them.
yeah, the cast is
For the
awesome.
script.
For
I think
sure.
the script was horrible, but I'm also hearing that the studio came in and messed with a lot of what was going on with the director.
Well, it also won a couple other awards, if you want to call it that. Worst director for Josh Trank, who actually did Chronicle, which I loved, and which is why I
Chronicle
was
was
so
great.
excited about this movie.
Chronicle was
Now
great.
he's going to be called like the one-hit wonder, you know?
Yes.
Because
I think he totally ruined
the
his-
sophomore attempt for a director is very important. They
Can
can't
make or break
They
you.
can't
Yeah.
screw up
Yeah,
that
you
second
can't.
time, even though and it. I can't. I don't know if it's all his fault though. I'm hearing a lot. There was a lot of
can't
meddling
say
with
it was all
Fox.
his fault.
It was a lot of meddling with Fox, I was told, and again, the script was kind of crap, which I'm surprised by. Simon Kinberg had something to do with that, I mean,
Yeah, he oversees all the X-Men movies.
They also have other people working on it too, like Bryan Singer is, and the Mike Doherty and forgot the other kid's name, but they all work together on these projects, and sometimes people work together really good and come up with magic, and sometimes when they go off on their own, they just can't come up with anything good.
Yep.
I think with the Fantastic Four, everyone knows their origin story. They need to stop doing these origin storylines with the Fantastic
Well, speaking
Four.
of that, it also won the worst remake. So, I don't know.
Man,
I think the originals weren't great, but they were at least entertaining. So I guess it would be.
that's a stretch.
Well, what did you like this new version better than the original two?
I think they were too young. I think the characters were too young in this new version.
So
It was like, it was kind of like they took them back to high school.
So was it the concept that was flawed with
I think
Fantastic
so.
Four, or just no matter what you could have done with
I
that
think
concept,
so.
it wouldn't have been good? You guys think?
I think
it was. Yeah, I might have to agree with
they
that.
spent too much time on how it all happened. I think that could be done by in flashbacks.
That could have been done, like you said, in the first 10 minutes.
A flashback or
Even in the
a
first
flash-
yeah,
10
just
minutes.
condense it down.
something or in a
condense it
montage.
down.
In a montage, they
And
don't need to
then-
spend all that time on how they got their powers.
And then to me, the worst part of Fantastic Four, from the first two to this one, why do they always have to give Doctor Doom powers? Why do they always try to give him powers? Doctor Doom does not have powers. He doesn't.
Just make him evil, right?
He's just an evil guy with the super smart with
And they-
a lot of technology.
And they try to get him involved with like how they got their powers. He got his powers just the same way.
they got their powers.
Yeah,
and
so
that's
they-
not how it happened.
So they repeated the mistakes from the original
yes,
movie.
because they want to give
That
Doom
was the
powers.
biggest. That was the biggest complaint about the originals was Doom.
Doom had powers.
Yeah.
Doom does not have powers.
Okay, so just one other thing about the Razzies. Eddie Redmayne from Jupiter Ascending won Worst Supporting Actor. Another movie I haven't seen.
I
so-
would
haven't
have
seen
to
it.
agree with you on that one. I would like to thank all my fellow actors for this award and the writers of this piece of shit movie, the Wachowski siblings.
Yeah, not brothers anymore. You gotta
Not
be-
brother. Yeah.
Yeah, and they love to
Terrible.
give Academy Award nominated actors Razzies because he's up for
The Danish Girl.
The Danish Girl. And he
he
won-
last year for The Theory of Everything.
yes, as Stephen Hawking. So anytime they can give a little dig at these,
I
you
think
know,
put them back in their place. You know, when
that's
they get
what
to-
happened to Holly Berry. She won for what was the name?
Monsters Ball.
And then the next year she won the Razzie for
Catwoman.
Catwoman. Yes, exactly.
Which Catwoman wasn't her fault either. That was the script.
I still haven't seen that.
Possible.
I refuse.
I agree. I
How do
say-
you have
I
a
say this.
Catwoman and she's not in
I
Gotham and you
blame
have
the
no
s-
Gotham villains?
I blame not the script for like 80% of a film's failure, in my opinion.
I mean, you have the whole premise of the movie had nothing to do with the only thing they kind of got right was her origin. But you have a Catwoman that's not based in Gotham. They have no mention of Batman, no mention of Batman villains. That's not Catwoman.
They probably didn't have the rights for it, did they?
It was made by Warner Brothers. No, they had the rights.
Oh, who knows? They probably didn't want to spend the money for all that extra crap.
How hard is to say or look in the sky and have a freaking light with the bat signal? How hard is that?
I can't explain it. I can't explain.
How hard is that? I can get a flashlight and fucking do that.
Movie because I was like,
yeah, I refused. Okay, on to movies that have actually come out recently, as in this week.
Okay.
We have one Netflix movie that came out, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Not
It's
part
out?
2. It's called Sword of Destiny.
It's out?
I haven't seen it
Came
yet.
out. It was released on Friday.
Oh, I have to watch that.
And now here's the problem. As soon as I heard that it was being released via Netflix, I thought, uh-oh, that can't be good. Because if it was really good, it would get a full theatrical release. I know they are putting it out in a couple IMAX screens, but that's more of a gimmick to say that it had a theatrical release.
I think that's just because how long ago was the old Crouching Tiger out?
2000.
It was earlier than that, like 98, wasn't it?
No, it was 2000.
It was 2000?
Yes, it was 2000.
And the real problem,
16 years ago.
It's a long time.
the real problem is Michelle Yeoh, as far as I know, is the only character from the original movie that's in the sequel. So it's more of a spin-off, really, than a sequel.
Yeah.
Well, then we talked about this last time. Her and the girl were really the only two that survived.
That's true.
Chow Yun Fat died,
Yep.
and then the witch, whoever the other
Jade
one-
Fox.
the Jade Fox, she died. So who else you gonna have in the movie? Because then
At least
no,
they
technically
brought her back.
No,
at least.
I'm sorry. Technically, the girl died. The girl died. She jumped off the cliff at the end.
Oh, okay. See,
Jade Fox lived.
It's been so long since I've seen it. Okay, we've got a couple other movies that came out in the theaters. And I know, Q, I know you saw Gods of Egypt.
Whitewash.
Well,
no, I'm sorry.
That's really what this movie is known for more than anything, is the kind of the controversy of
hope
having
that doesn't
English
hurt it.
actors play
Yeah.
Egyptians.
It was. The action was decent. Was pretty good. The story was your typical guy helping out, striking a deal to get his love interest back. You know.
What about Gerard Butler?
Oh, he's excellent.
He was awesome?
He was awesome. He's
'Cause
Gerard Butler.
He's coming back next week, and what is it? London Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Next week. Oh,
So
I'm-
he's got
be
back to back
at the show.
movies.
March 4th.
Yep.
I'll be back at the show. But Gerard Butler was good. Little known fact, Captain Barbosa plays Ra, the sun god.
Oh,
He
okay.
plays the father of all the gods, Ra. But Gerard Butler was
You
good.
mean the actor who won the Academy Award for the movie Shine about the autistic piano player?
Correct.
That
Yes.
guy, yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Rush. Yeah.
Jeffrey Rush.
One of the whitest dudes out there.
Yeah, pretty
Casanova
much.
Frankenstein.
Yes, yeah. Oh, he was Casanova. It's one of the best superhero movies ever, man. Mystery Men.
Yeah. That's a movie that needs a sequel. We'll talk about that on another time.
All right.
I liked it. I give it about a 7 out of 10.
Now, was this
Maybe
a
6.8.
see it on the big screen type movie, or wait for cable or home video?
See it on the big screen at a matinee.
Okay, see it cheap then.
See it cheap.
All right.
See it cheap.
And Mark, I know you saw 999, correct?
Yes, I saw Triple.
And that's loaded with all kinds of. It might not be a geeky movie necessarily, but it's loaded with lots of our favorite
a lot of
actors.
good actors. A lot of good actors. You know, you have Chiwetel Ejiofor, Anthony Mackie, Norman Reedus, Aaron Paul, Woody Harrelson, Casey Affleck, Clifton Collins Jr. And
And what about Kate Winslet? How
Kate
was
Winslet?
she in that?
She was pretty good in this movie. She plays this Russian mob wife whose husband was locked away in jail in Russia by Putin, and she's trying to get him out by having these criminals break into these bank suppository box to steal all this information to help get him out
So
of
that's
jail.
the general premise of the movie.
Yes, and she's holding stuff over one of the guy's heads. he's like in debt to her, and his sister had this lady, Kate Winslet's sister, had a baby with this criminal, and so she's kind of holding the kid, keeping him away from the father, and he wants the kid back. And so she's kind of holding this stuff over his head and stuff. And
so with all that great cast,
it was. I thought it was a stupid story.
Oh,
I thought the whole
I
plot
knew that was coming.
I thought the plot was kind of a little confusing, but stupid.
He might be one of the hardest people to impress.
Well, it's only gotten about 56% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
And Gods of Egypt, I think, is at a lowly 14%. So,
but I gotta
neither
say,
are doing well at the box office.
The standouts I thought in this movie, the interesting characters, was the Casey Affleck character, who was sort of a rookie cop who they were trying to set up, because 999 means man down, and they were going to be doing a heist where they're going to end up having to kill a cop. Shoot a cop to get the cops distracted to go to this, because all the cops converge when there's a man down. They go right to that location, and they were going to use that as a distraction to do this second heist that the Russian mob lady wanted these guys to do.
Right.
She was sort of like the Kaiser Soze, like Usual Suspects, holding stuff over the guys' heads to get them to do a job. So. Well,
let me ask you, there was one other new movie that came out this week, Eddie the Eagle. Did you have a chance to see that one?
That was a good one.
Now, that stars Hugh Jackman, obviously Mr. Wolverine, and Taron Egerton, is that his name?
Yes, of the Kingsman.
Yes, he was the young star of the Kingsman.
Eggsy.
And he plays Eddie the Eagle, correct?
Eddie the Eagle Edwards, yes. It's a very uplifting movie.
What's the basic story for people who aren't familiar?
He is a English fellow who has always had dreams of being an Olympic athlete. He tried to do different things to be
different sports,
sports, but then he found out, realized skiing was his sport, and then goes to Germany to train and ends up meeting Hugh Jackman. But everyone thinks he's a joke because he's this clumsy uncoordinated English fella, and he ends up training for a while on these slopes in Germany, and Hugh Jackman kind of slowly mentors them, and they become really good friends, and then he starts coaching them, and then finally he qualifies for the Olympics, and then
very cool.
And then while he's at the Olympics, he becomes in 1988 Olympics, he becomes like a big sensation. Even though he just qualifies, he can't compete with anyone else. Everyone else is like jumping a lot further than him and everything, but he's such an interesting character. He's everyone falls in love with him, and then all of a sudden the media is just hovering around him, and all the attention is on him.
Well, I thought what was interesting about that concept was that the idea of winning is really subjective. You can win without winning the gold.
Exactly.
You can do a personal best, or you can,
Right.
So there's different criteria, which I think is a great message. You can only have one winner. That doesn't mean everybody else are losers necessarily.
It's like the old saying: it doesn't matter who wins or loses; it's how you play the game.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
so
that's
play to win.
So that's it for the new movies. I wanted to talk briefly. We've got just a couple minutes left. Tonight are the Academy Awards, and I know there's some controversy because of the hashtag Oscars so white.
It's been going on for years.
Yeah, it's nothing new, but I think finally this is the year where it's kind of really come to a head, if you will.
They say that all the time.
Well, let me ask you, Q, are you going to be watching tonight?
I probably won't be watching tonight. I'll probably DVR it. I might catch it. I might watch it later.
See, I want to just see it just for Chris Rock's opening monologue alone. I think that's going to be worth.
Actually,
well, then they say he went back and changed it.
Oh, he totally rewrote it.
He totally rewrote it, but I don't know.
So he's going to be ripping on people.
Well, that's the main reason why I watch the Oscars is to see the host, what he's going to say.
Who cares about who wins?
I mean, whoever wins or loses doesn't really matter to me. It's the fact that they were nominated in the first place is the award itself, in my opinion. Okay,
yeah, so
I just like to go see it for the humor, the comedy, and the entertainment.
You gotta think about it too. I mean, half of these actors, just having the word Oscar-nominated actor such and such is a huge pay raise for half of these actors right now. Period.
Well, we talked about Halle Berry. It took her from a low budget independent movie, Monsters Ball, to the big budget Catwoman, even though that was a bomb.
But she won for that award. He's talking about just to get nominated.
Even if you get nominated,
that helps, yeah.
Even being nominated,
just to be nominated for me is good enough for these people. You know.
Yeah, it means it's a pay raise.
Well, speaking of nominations,
I don't care what they get paid. I just say it's just a recognition of being nominated.
Okay, then
good enough.
Okay, then we go back to the same problem. Then how come? Never mind.
There's two sci-fi movies that have been nominated this year for Best Picture. I know we've talked about the movies in previous podcasts, but we got The Martian with Matt Damon. And we've got Mad Max Fury Road.
So The Martian's not nominated for Best Comedy again?
Nope, they don't do comedy
in the Academy Awards.
I know. If you would watch it, Jackass.
So we've got an interesting history. I went through the Academy Award archives and looked at their past record of nominating comic book movies, science fiction movies, fantasy, the kind of things that we would
out of
watch.
The 84 years, they've got none.
There's been a few. Okay. In 1938, we had The Adventures of Robin Hood that was nominated for Best Picture. It didn't actually win. We've got The Wizard of Oz the following year, 1939. That also lost, unfortunately.
I'm
just to be
sensing a trend.
Good enough. Just to be nominated, I think, in my opinion, is good enough.
Yeah, for Mark.
Well, and what's interesting...
Play to win the game, man.
In the 40s, there was a bunch of Hitchcock movies that were nominated. Nice. There was a lot of thrillers, so they weren't really horror or...
Rebecca won.
Rebecca did win. That was 1940. 1945, Spellbound. It lost, unfortunately. It's a Wonderful Life, which most people consider a Christmas movie, but if you think about it, it really is a fantasy. That also lost. So as you can see...
I'm sensing a trend coming along
There's
here.
definitely a pattern. Now, this one I wasn't sure... Around the World in 80 Days, that's a Jules Verne story. So technically that is science fiction, correct? And that won in 1950.
It's an adventure movie.
Yeah, it's an adventure movie. But Jules Verne is typically considered a science fiction writer. Probably one of the first really science fiction writers.
Since they were dealing with balloons back then, and that was kind of...
That was the cutting edge technology
Yes.
in that day, yes. Okay, so now we've got a bit of a drought. So from 1956... when Around the World in 80 Days won, it really wasn't until 1971 that we've got any even nominations for Best Picture. And in 1971, A Clockwork Orange was nominated. It lost. But what I found interesting was just a few years before that, same director, Stanley Kubrick, had 2001's Space Odyssey, which is considered... not only one of the best science fiction movies of all time, but probably one of the best movies of all time, and that didn't even get nominated. I was shocked. I really couldn't believe it.
Sometimes it's the numbers game, Sometimes there's just better movies that year.
I guess. I think to me, A Clockwork Orange is a great science fiction movie. I mean, it's a great movie, period. But compared to 2001, I think history, I think, proves that 2001 is really the better movie. But anyway, starting in 1971 with that nomination, it's been a continual love fest for more of the geekier movies. Now, they haven't always won, but in 1973, The Exorcist was nominated as Best Picture. 75, we had Jaws. 77 was Star Wars.
What's that?
Yeah, a little movie. Nick will tell you about it.
Oh, because
he's the biggest Star Wars.
As the world's biggest Star Wars fan.
And Doctor Strange.
And now let me ask you.
And Godzilla and Ultraman.
I wasn't sure about inclusion in this list, but what do you think of Heaven Can Wait? That is technically a fantasy film, correct?
Yeah, the Warren Beatty, Buck.
Yeah, which is a remake of the classic movie from the 40s, I believe. That was nominated and lost.
Of course it did. Star Wars lost too, right?
Yes, correct.
Of course it did.
Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated in 1981, nominated and lost.
Of course.
E.T., 82, so that was quite the back-to-back year for Spielberg.
But didn't that win?
E.T. lost. Ghost
Chariots
lost.
of Fire.
Yep, Ghost lost in 1990. But the
Whoopi
following
Goldberg won for
yes,
supporting actress.
she sure did. and which everybody
too.
claimed.
that was like the second one since what's that?
Gone
movie?
with the Wind.
Thank you.
Hattie McDaniel.
Thank you, Hattie McDaniel.
And
the
everyone
second one.
said that was kind of a
third one. She's the second female.
That was kind of them addressing the whole Color Purple snub, you know.
Yeah, because Color Purple got robbed the year
Yeah.
before by what was that movie?
1984.
Secondhand Lions. Oh, Out of Africa. I'm sorry. Out of Africa swept the Oscars.
Yeah.
About okay,
a movie nobody watches anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 1991, we have Silence of the Lambs, which won everything that year pretty much.
Oh, well, that movie was too great to
and
deny.
it won Best Picture, so a rare horror win, even though that was probably more of a thriller, I would say.
I would say psychological thriller.
Yeah.
It's still a horror. I mean, you know.
But that same year, Beauty and the Beast was also nominated, so that's pretty good. Two geeky movies in 1 year, even though that's animated, but
It's fantasy.
it's fantasy. It's definitely fantasy. Now, 1999 was another big year, even though both of these movies lost. We had The Green Mile and The Sixth Sense both nominated that same year. So that, and I gotta say,
And he was nominated that year too, wasn't he? But he lost.
The Sixth Sense still holds up. I mean, that's
Sixth Sense
that's
is
a
great.
great movie. We talked about the sequel earlier, but Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out in 2000, and that was also
Mark was
nominated.
right, and he was nominated.
Yep, that was nominated. Now
It lost too, didn't it?
It lost.
A lot.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon won Best
Picture.
Foreign Film.
Foreign film.
okay, so here we have a 3-year run: 2001, 2002, 2003. Any guesses?
Lord of the Rings, all three
Correct.
were nominated. And
Fellowship
the
of the
last one
Ring,
won.
The Two Towers, Return of the King finally won in 2003. And I think that was kind of like the
Yeah, like the awarding for all
sorry.
three movies.
cumulative
Yeah.
award there, yeah.
Yeah.
And now here's another one I questioned about putting on the list, but it definitely falls in the fantasy category, and that's The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. That was nominated and lost in 2008. 2009 was a great, great year. Avatar, District 9, Inglourious Basterds, and Up, all nominated. Unfortunately, all lost.
District 9 was so good.
Glorious Bastards was a war movie though.
That was a fantasy
It was
movie.
a fantasy.
Hitler was killed at the end.
Yes. In a movie
Okay, I'll
theater.
agree with you there then.
In a movie theater.
2010, we had Inception, Toy Story 3, both lost. 2012, Django Unchained, both that lost. Along with Life of Pi.
Which sucked. Visually stunning, but the movie sucked.
2013, Her, lost. Gravity, that lost.
One
right?
Best Director.
And then that takes us to 2014.
Well, Martian and...
No, Birdman.
Oh.
Which one? So there you have it. That's the Academy Awards, the Geeky Academy Award rundown.
That's why I say just getting nominated is the award itself.
Yeah, in terms of that and being black.
All right, to wrap it up, I just wanted to
nominate us
let
either,
everybody
do they?
know we were drinking the apple pie, apple mead from Bee Nectar, which is in Hazel Park. It's a meadery. So I think it does beer, but primarily
We were meeting
mead.
it up today, guys.
Yeah, it tastes a little corky.
That's a inside joke there, Cole.
Yes. So make sure you have a bottle of cork.
A cork opener.
A corkscrew.
Or you'll be sitting here like us with a screwdriver and some car keys.
And little fragments of cork in your throat.
Yes, that's why Denver's over there having a hard time
Choking to death. Yes,
choking
thank
to
you
death
very
over
much.
on
Thank you.
corks. I liked it. It's really sweet.
It's kind of tasted a little bit like wine. I think that's why it's corked.
Very wine-like, yes.
It was very it was sweet. It's like
It does taste like an apple pie wine.
Yeah, that's
Vintage
exactly
apple
what
pie.
it's
What year is this apple pie? 1838.
1838.
Wapple pie.
Wapple. All right, go to ableideas.com, buy comic books. Without them, you can't hear us. Go to comicsbrain.sci-fi.com, watch some episodes. Tweet me on CBSF_the Q on Twitter. Go to our Facebook page. Go to YouTube. Like us. Subscribe to us. And for all you people out there that's talking shit about me, Fuck you.
Ow! Hot tub.